The Gauteng High Court in Pretoria tomorrow is expected to hear an application by the Presidency to recoup over 28 million rand in legal fees for former President Jacob Zuma's court cases. The matter follows Zuma's legal battle in the courts since 2018 over his alleged involvement in the controversial multi-billion rand arms deal dating back to 1999. Newzroom Afrika's Zoleka Qodashe tracking that story for us, and she joins us live now. Zoleka, good evening to you. This is nearly 30 million rand, and I've just been reading an article from News 24, and the heads of argument in that article spell it out that there is no way the former president would be able to pay that amount of money. So, begs the question, what's the legal strategy from the presidency?
Good evening, Goli, and good evening to the viewers. Well, this matter, even though it is being heard here in 2025, now in 2025, is a matter that stems from 2018. You'll remember that the DA and the EFF filed separate applications before the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria, seeking to have the presidency's decision in relation to the funding of former President Jacob Zuma's legal fees declared, or rather, reviewed and set aside. And that application before the Superior Court was successful, with the High Court in December 2018 granting that order, reviewing and setting aside the presidency's decision, as well as the state attorney, to actually assist the former head of state in relation to the legal fees that he had incurred during the trial, or rather when those corruption allegations were leveled against him in relation to the Talis and arms deal matter. Now, after that, the former president then sought to appeal that particular High Court order. Of course, that was unsuccessful, after which he petitioned the Supreme Court of Appeal, that also dismissed his application. So what the order of the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria did is that it said that the state attorney must compile a list of all the money that has been used to assist former President Jacob Zuma while he was deputy president at the time, in order to foot the bill for his legal fees. And so the order also said that the state attorney must stipulate or must demonstrate all the ways that they actually tried to recoup that money that was used to assist the former president in that particular matter. And so that is why this particular action will be taken tomorrow. The legal proceedings will be taking place tomorrow, because the order of the Gauteng High Court also says that it includes civil proceedings. The state attorney may launch civil proceedings against former President Jacob Zuma in an effort to recoup these funds. And so that is why the matter will be sitting in the High Court in Pretoria tomorrow. But this matter also stems from prior to 2018. You'll remember that these charges were instituted against former President Jacob Zuma in 2018 after he had stepped down or resigned from his from office. And so the actual matter stems from 2003, when his close friend at the time, Schabir Shaik, was also charged on that same matter in relation to the arms deal by the then National Director for Public Prosecutions, Bulelani Ngcuka, who indicted Schabir Shaik and leveled those corruption charges against him. In 2004, there was a letter from the Director General in the Office of the Presidency, at the time that was Reverend Frank Chikane, who wrote a letter motivating for the retrospective assistance for former President Jacob Zuma with his legal fees. What that means essentially, Goli, is that retrospectivity in law means backdated. So whenever there's a retrospective effect, it means it's an effect that will have an effect on matters that precede that particular scenario. And so what that means is that Frank Chikane had said that the former president must be granted assistance with his legal fees prior to 2004. That is when the actual matter started from 1999 until, because that's when the arms deal was actually secured, and 1999 until 2004, which is when the actual 2003 rather, when the NDPP actually filed or launched those criminal charges against Shabir Sheikh. And so that is what brings us to this point at the moment, where the court will then have to determine whether, in fact, because you'll remember that the State Attorney Act actually stipulates that these fees must not be granted to persons when they are executing things outside of their official capacity. And so that is why the DA and the EFF had taken this matter to the Superior Court, because they say that this, the footing of that bill in Zuma's legal fees was because of things that he was doing in his personal capacity. And so that will be one of the arguments that will be leveled in the High Court in Pretoria tomorrow because of that. And in fact, there was a legal advisor in the Office of the Presidency around 2004 that also said that essentially the if these fees were to be granted to or rather this assistance were to be given to the former president, then in fact it mustn't be because it is in his personal capacity. And so that will be some of the arguments that will be leveled in or advanced before the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria tomorrow.
Zoleka Qodashe, some important legal background to this case. Thank you very much indeed for that update.